New Prime Minister, less than a year ago, you said that China was the biggest security threat to Canada. Do you still believe that?
The security landscape continues to change, and in a world that's more dangerous and divided, we face many threats. That's the reality, and the job, my responsibilities as Prime Minister, the job of the government, is to manage those threats. You manage those threats by building resilience, building security. You manage those threats through alliances. You manage those threats through engagement. And we're pursuing all of those. And I would say that, well, the threat environment has increased. The risks have multiplied. So too has our resilience and our engagement, which is protecting Canadians on balance.
But does that threat from
Next
China still
question.
exist?
I'll refer to my previous answer.
Guys, public speaking 101 is never say It's once you start saying all the time, it's a telltale sign that you either don't know what you're talking about or you're trying to come up with a lie on the spot. Carney doesn't seem to be a good liar because there's threats, and to skirt threats you need to build resilience, and that's what we're doing. I don't know, guys. But today is Monday, January 19th. First day of the week. Welcome, guys. My name is Miloš Krajčnik. This is Kanak News. As you can see, I have a great article here for us. But Ontario is fast-tracking one of the largest nickel plants projects in the world, guys. And it's not because Canada is suddenly discovered the industrial courage to do it. And it's not because we finally decided to build a battery economy. But it's because the United States started this whole tariff thing. They seized Venezuelan oil and reminded everyone who controls global resources. Guys, this isn't strategy that we're dealing with here. This is what Canada does when it's boxed in. And the Crawford nickel mine is really proving it. And here's a little bit wider story before we read the article. Ontario is fast tracking Canada Nickel's Crawford project. It's located 40 kilometers north of Timmins under a new provincial framework called One Project, One Process. The promise is simple. It's instead of the company dealing with multiple provincial departments, they deal with one designated point person who coordinates the approvals, which is great. Honestly, it seems like the red tape is going to be alleviated quite a bit. Politicians are really describing this as a move to protect Canada's economic sovereignty, especially under the current U.S. trade environment and the broader reality that critical resources are now being treated like national security assets. They've always been national security assets, though. That's the thing. We just haven't treated them as such. And so Crawford is being positioned as a future major supplier of nickel for two big markets: EV batteries and steel making. And the company wants construction to begin before year end with production targeted for 2028. But here's the catch, guys, that really matters more than the actual headline. Fast tracking the permitting doesn't solve the biggest constraint, which is money. This is a multi-billion-dollar build, and the financing is still provisional, meaning it's not fully locked in. So when you zoom out, this story isn't just Ontario approves a mine faster. It's a live example of Canada waking up late to an economic reality that it should have understood like a decade ago at least. So we go, Ontario is fast-tracking Canada's nickel Crawford Operation One Process, One Project, One Process regulatory initiative, a move politicians say is meant to protect against threats to Canada's economic sovereignty, even as significant funding hurdles remain for the junior mining company. Crawford, located about 40 kilometers north of Timmins in northeastern Ontario, contains the world's second largest nickel reserve. The Toronto-based company hopes to start construction before year-end and is aiming to be in production at the end of 2028. Canada Nickel also plans to build a nickel processing plant in Timmins. Guys, this is all good news. I love this news. This is all great news. These projects all need to be fast-tracked, but they should have been fast-tracked quite literally a decade ago. These should all be operational right now. Maybe they should have even been started like 2 decades ago, because quite frankly, lithium-ion batteries aren't they're not new, right? The first Teslas came out in like 2008, 2009. Like, this technology's been here for a very long time. We knew that we had all of these mineral mines in Canada across the country for a very long time. And this is what I constantly talk about when it comes to strategic thinking with Canadian politicians. If there was strategic thought, like if they heard about this in the early 2000s, let's say, and they're like, guys, there's this big thing, these lithium-ion batteries, it's a big technology. Everybody knows how, like, when certain technologies are approximately going to come out into civil use, right? Politicians have access to that knowledge. Like, they literally could have just said, hey guys, we know this technology is going to be coming out, or they're working towards it, right? We have all of these resources. Let's start planning to build these mines out so that when the technology does come, we can be the whole supplier for North America for these batteries, for these types of batteries. Not only can we do that, let's subsidize Canadian engineers and innovators, researchers, to build our own type of battery, to build our own solar panels, to build whatever it is that we can build with this stuff, right? And then you become a global player. You have a multi-billion dollar company that's selling technology globally, and you're supplying yourself. That's called an unfair advantage. And that's how countries manipulate markets through unfair advantages. That's how China built itself up, because they used their unfair advantage of extremely cheap labor to flood markets with cheap Chinese goods. But then they also realized that they have rare earths, and then they started being the only supplier around the world for rare earths, right? So there's a duality behind having the resources, but then also building the technology on top of that. Using those rare earths, China's started building extremely high-tech, extremely advanced technology. So they're not just cheap labor anymore. They're also manufacturing en masse extremely advanced technologies, right? This is something that Canada it never has the foresight to do. And I know it sounds like I criticize Canada all the time. I can't believe that we have all of this stuff, like all of these natural resources. We have all of these amazing engineers. We have all of these amazing research facilities. Like we have the Pi Institute in Waterloo, like the Perimeter Institute, massive physics lab. Stephen Hawking, was a guest there. He was, I think he was like even financed the thing. Like just we have such an amazing environment to build things here, innovation, and to keep smart people, engineers in Canada to continue innovating, for us to have more unicorns in the country that are built in Canada instead of people going to the US for funding. This is really what pains me. Like, this is great news though. I love what's going on here though. But it goes, provincial politicians at a Tuesday press conference in Timmins said that designating Crawford for regulatory streamlining is part of an effort to reduce global dependence on Indonesian sourced metal. They also pointed to the importance of nickel used in electric batteries and steel making. To Canada's economic sovereignty, particularly in the face of uncertainty over U.S. President Donald Trump's aggressive foreign ambitions. Again, they made a little stab at Trump, aggressive foreign ambitions. I don't want to get into this global power politics. The article might force me into it, though, because I see Maduro's name. It goes, just over a week ago, the U.S. captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and asserted control over the country's country and its vast oil reserves. Mr. Trump has since made threatening comments toward Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, and Greenland. Mr. Trump has also previously said he wants to annex Canada as the 51st state, which some believe reflects his desire to bulk up the resource capabilities of the U.S. We've just recently seen what Trump did in Venezuela, targeting the oil, said George Pyrie, Ontario Minister of Northern Economic Development and Growth at the Timmins event. So, guys, they're now talking about geopolitical events that happened, right? And now they're bringing it to Canada as if we're terrified of the U.S. doing the same thing to Canada, and now they're gonna be brave down here. I think probably goes, but he's not going to be able to take out our nickel out of the ground. Not a bloody chance. Not a bloody chance. We've got it right here. We're going to process it here, and we're going to develop value-added industries here in the north. This is all great, but if you're doing this reflexively, you're not doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it because you're afraid of what's going on in the U.S., this literally should have been done 15 years ago, because this technology existed 15 years ago, and we could have been a global player right now in lithium-ion batteries, but we're not, right? And so we're always reactionary. Everything is always reactionary. There's never proactive news that comes out of this, right? And on top of all of this, they don't even have the funding for it. As you see, Crawford is estimated to cost between $2 and $2.5 billion to build, but most of the financing that the company has in place is provisional. So they're looking for outside funding. I don't know. I don't see why the federal government, if this is such a strategic thing that we need to do, why the federal government wouldn't subsidize it. Because we subsidize foreign companies. We subsidize Toyota being in Canada. We subsidized a million other things. Why would the federal government or the Ontario government not subsidize this? Holly. I really don't understand. But I really believe that there's an obvious pattern here, right? That I kind of touched on. It's that Canada doesn't lead. We're always responding, guys. And it's for years we knew nickel was strategic. It's not like some niche metal by hobbyists. It's foundational to modern industry. It's used in many lithium-ion battery chemistries to raise energy density. It means longer range and better performance. It's used in stainless steel in industrial alloys. And it matters for defense manufacturing and critical infrastructure, guys. So the question really comes, if we've known this for years, why is this urgent now? Why wasn't this urgent 15 years ago, like I said? Because urgency in Canada isn't triggered by planning. It's always triggered by fear. It's always reactionary. This accelerated permitting process did not appear because Ottawa and Queen's Park had a generational industrial vision. It appeared because the U.S. is using tariffs as leverage, supply chains are being reshuffled, and Washington is making it clear it will secure strategic inputs first and worry about diplomatic feelings later. And the Ontario minister literally invoked Venezuela in the political messaging. Like, come on, guys. This tells you the mindset. Canada is not thinking, how do we build the next 25 years? How do we become industrial leaders? How do we eat up some kind of market share in a specific industry, in an advanced tech industry? Clean tech industry, because it is clean tech. All we talk about is carbon credits and all that stuff. Why aren't we building clean tech? Canada is thinking, how do we not get crushed in the next 24 months? That's all we ever think about. This is complete reactive governance. And it matters because when you move only under pressure, you usually move too late and you usually accept worse terms. And so this isn't just a criticism of the Liberal government because they're doing it now. We can criticize the Conservatives as well. We can criticize even Stephen Harper for not doing this on time, right? But guys, that's just one part of it, right? But fast permits don't mean sovereignty either. So, and this is I think where the lines kind of get blurred, guys. Fast tracking a mine is not the same thing as building economic sovereignty. Sovereignty isn't, we dug it into our soil. Sovereignty is controlling the value chain, guys. Controlling who owns the finances of the project, controlling where it gets processed, controlling who buys it and under what terms, and keeping a meaningful portion of the profit, technology, and jobs inside the country. They're saying that the processing is going to be done in Timmins. I honestly, I do applaud all of it. I love it. We should be doing this. But right now, this project is still being sold mainly as a supplier to fund foreign demand, a supplier to foreign demand. This article itself points out to the buyers that are going to be expected to be in the US and Europe. That means Canada risks staying stuck in the role it always plays. We supply inputs, and other countries are going to capture the high value manufacturing. Like the Danes literally have a lithium ion battery for battery energy storage. Come on. Guys, we supply the inputs and the other countries capture the high value manufacturing. It's always like this. Think of it like this. If Canada is just the quarry and the real money is in the factory, then Canada is not sovereign. Canada is just useful. And being useful is not the same as being powerful, guys. And we've seen this movie before in Canada. Ship raw logs, buy back finished wood products. Ship raw crude, import refined products and equipment. Ship mined minerals, buy back finished technology. This mine only becomes a sovereignty story if Canada uses it as a lever to anchor domestic industry, not just extract and export, guys. Canada has the ingredients for a battery economy. We have the nickel, guys. We have the lithium projects. We have access to power. We have a skilled workforce above everything. And we have proximity to the biggest consumer market in the world. And we're not that far from Europe either. So why are we still talking like our role is simply to dig minerals and hope someone else builds the next layer? Because Canada often confuses having resources with having an industrial plan. An industrial plan is not a press conference. An industrial plan is processing capacity, refining capacity, cathode and anode production, battery cell manufacturing, long-term offtake contracts, infrastructure that makes factories viable, right? And regulatory certainty that doesn't change every election cycle, guys. Right now, the mine is being pushed forward while the rest of that chain remains uncertain. When you build the first mine, or when you build the mine first, you weaken your leverage. Because once the capital is sunk and the project needs revenue, you take the best deal available, which usually means selling to whoever can pay the fastest. That's how countries stay trapped at the bottom of the value chain. And it seems like we're always stuck at the bottom of that value chain. A serious sovereignty play would look like this. We will fast track nickel, but only as part of a package that guarantees processing and manufacturing on Canadian soil. Let's get together a team of researchers. Let's build our own lithium-ion batteries for battery energy storage. Let's make the next highly efficient EV battery, electric vehicle battery. Otherwise, we're just accelerating extraction and not building an industrial base, guys. My last point here is, the financing gap really shows how fragile all of this still is, guys, because this project costs roughly $2 billion to $2.5 billion. The company has some big pieces of potential financing on the table. They have hundreds of millions in debt support. They have tax credits. They have government-linked financing and potential strategic partners, which is always great. But much of it is still conditional and it's not finalized. So even if most of it comes through, there's still a serious gap here. And this matters because a mine isn't built on patriotic speeches. It's built on capital. So when politicians pitch, this is a sovereignty move, Canadians need to ask, if this is sovereignty, why is the entire thing still dependent on external capital conditions and provisional commitments? Guys, that's not a knock on the company. That's how mining works, right? But it highlights a deeper truth. Canada is trying to build strategic capacity while still relying on financial structures that can change fast if markets move, if trade policy shifts, or if investors lose confidence. Guys, fast permits are nice. I'm not saying they're not nice. We need to have them. There's too much red tape in Canada. But without locked financing and without downstream industrial commitments, you still don't have certainty. All you're living on aspirations. And why all this matters to Canadians is Canada has world-class resources. We have world-class talent as well. Our engineers are awesome, top class. But we repeatedly failed to turn them into domestic industrial capacity, resilient jobs, technology ownership, and strategic leverage. And we wait until the world changes and then we scramble. Guys, this nickel project is extremely important. It's also a mirror though. It shows the same Canadian habit. We move only after we're cornered. Why do we always have to be cornered? And when you move late, you usually pay more. You concede more, and then you control even less. To tie it all off, guys, fast tracking the Crawford mine is better than doing nothing. I love everything that this story stands for. But let's not confuse speed with strategy. Canada didn't suddenly become serious about sovereignty. Canada became nervous. Real sovereignty isn't we have nickel. It's we're processing it here. We're building the industrial base here. We're owning more of the value chain here, and we're locking in long-term leverage so that no foreign government can squeeze us when it suits them. If this mine ends up feeding foreign factories while Canada stays an extraction economy, then we didn't really secure sovereignty, economic sovereignty through this project. We're going to have more money, and we need to do this. Far from it. We absolutely need to do this. But the question for Canadians is simple. Are we finally building an industrial nation, or are we just trying not to fall behind? That's all I have for today, guys. Hope you guys liked today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Stay curious, stay informed, and God bless Canada.